All right, let's start working our way up to some more advanced and complicated examples with Spark. Now, like we did with the word count example, we're going to start off with something pretty simple and just build upon it. So let's take a look at our next example, which is going to have us looking at finding the most popular movie in our Movie Lens dataset. All right, let's go back to that Movie Lens data of movie ratings. And what we're going to do is figure out what the most popular movie in that dataset is. And we're going to start off pretty simply and kind of build upon a more complex example here. But for now, let's start by reviewing the data format of the Movie Lens dataset, the u.data file. As you might recall, it consists of, on each line, a user ID, a movie ID, a rating, and a timestamp. So each line says this user watched this movie, gave it this rating, and did it at that time. And our task is to just figure out what movie was watched most often. So which movie ID appears most frequently in this entire data set. Now, this isn't a very hard thing to do. In fact, if you want to go give it a crack yourself, feel free. But we'll take a look at the implementation that I came up with and get that to run and see what we come up with. Off to the code. All right, let's have a go at finding the most popular movie in our Movie Lens dataset. So off in the resources for this lecture, you'll find a popular movies Python script. Download that, put it in your Spark course folder. Hit pause and I'll wait for you. Come on back when you're ready. All right, let's open this up. So what we're going to do is just print out a list of all of the movies and the times that they appear and sort them based on how often they appeared. So pretty simple script here. There's nothing really new in this example, but there will be when we build upon it. But let's walk through it real quickly just to reinforce some of the stuff we've learned already. Your standard boilerplate stuff up here. We're going to open up the u.data file, which contains the user ID, movie ID, rating, and timestamp for every individual rating within that data set. Then we're going to call a mapper that just simply splits it out and pulls out the movie ID from field number 1. So what we end up with is just a movies RDD that is nothing but a list of movie IDs. And each movie ID may occur many, many times. Our task is then to just count them up. So notice that we're actually outputting a key value pair here. We have the movie ID and then the number 1. And what we can do then is use reduce by key and just add up all of those ones together to get the count of how many times each movie appeared. So let's go over that one more time. Our mapper is going to extract the movie ID, put it in a key value pair where the key is the movie ID and the value is the number 1. We will then call reduce by key, which will group together and aggregate all of the values seen for each individual movie ID and add them all up. So all those ones get added up together and we end up with the final count of how many times each movie appears within our Movie Lens dataset. But we're not done yet. So at this point, we have a key value RDD where the keys are the movie IDs, but we want to sort it by the values. So we're going to use that same trick we did before where we flip things around so that the values are the keys and the keys are the values. So that's what this line here does with moviecounts.map lambda xy becomes yx. What we end up in the flipped RDD is now the count as the key and the movie ID as the value. We can then sort by key in order to sort our RDD by the count of number of occurrences, collect the results, and print them out. So let's see what we get. If you want to hit pause, if that didn't make sense, if you stare at this for a while, it will. Do what you got to do to understand it. But let's move on. Canopy command prompt, and we will run this thing. Spark-submit popularmovies.py. Off it goes. And there we have it, sorted by number of occurrences. It turns out that the most popular movie in our data set was movie ID number 50, which was watched 583 times by people in that data set. Well, that's all well and good, but what the heck is movie ID 50? That's not very helpful, is it? Well, we can go look it up by hand and do it the hard way. I mean, if we go into the ML100K data set here and open up the u.item file, you might have to right-click that and say open with and open with and select WordPad so you can actually look at it. We can scroll through here and see what movie ID 50 actually is, and it turns out that 50 is Star Wars from 1977. Not too big of a surprise, Star Wars being the most popular movie when this data set was created in 1998. That was certainly one of the most popular films, and certainly popular with the people that tend to frequent websites about machine learning and movie recommendations on the internet. So there you have it, Star Wars, the most popular movie, but we want to make this better. So wouldn't it be great if I could just automatically print out the name of each movie instead of the ID? So in our next lecture, we'll go through how to actually build up a table of movie IDs to movie names and broadcast that table to every node that might be running your Spark job, so we can actually display the names instead of the IDs and make these results more useful and more human readable. So we'll do that next. All right, that was a pretty simple example, but the results we got kind of reflect the work that we put into it. It's not very easy to interpret the results because we have to go look up what those movie names are. So let's take care of that, and we'll start to introduce some more advanced concepts in Spark in the process.